Hey everyone, this is Jan, and you're watching my second round of 100 Days of Making Comics. And it is time for the next step in Phosphor, my little sci-fi adventure. I finished up about 24 pages of rough pencils in the first 2 weeks, more or less, and I have now started importing the rough pencils into Photoshop so I can have a little bit of fun putting a light source in there, adding some light and shadows, and doing what I coined yesterday, rough inks. But the main thrust of this next step is to get them ready to add dialogue, because I want to add dialogue to the comic book before I start making the art. This, of course, is going to save on time because balloons are going to cover up some parts of the art, though I might draw it anyway. But I think the main thing is that I lost a lot of time getting the size of the fonts right for the art because I didn't realize like how big it was going to be. So this time round, I want to make sure that while I'm still in the designing phase, I get my dialogue pinned down so I can worry about all that technical sizing of the font at the beginning rather than after I've done all the art, and save on a little bit of time that way. Get that story going. Like, I have most of the story laid out on paper in my mind, but a lot of the dialogue is kind of up in the air. So this is the part where, I get towards finalizing it. So enough rambling. Let me just show you what I've done today, because I didn't get to make a video because the camera was charging. So let me just show you what it looks like. So a fun thing happened putting in these balloons. I moved away from the, I suppose the zoom tool is fine. I moved away from using the boxes because all of a sudden I had the idea that maybe the boxes are a narrator, maybe they're not. Maybe they are a character actually talking over some of the findings he's been having, and with one or two characters being corporate spies, later on this issue, you then put the two together and realize that the boxes on the earlier page, the monologue, if you will, are that one character talking as they, come together. So you realize that that's the person who's been narrating, so to speak. So the boxes could help with the introduction, but here on this page, there's lots of people waking up, so there's the banter of them getting to work. Someone says something, someone makes a snide comment, she totally heard it, as she's being whisked away on a platform to the higher decks. So how one little happy accident adding these balloons was that when I came down here, so these are some of the first people she woke up on the previous page. But when it came down here, it just naturally occurred to me like, okay, so they're looking at her going up. Like these are the two friends. But like maybe they can, deliver some commentary. But I ran into this problem where she's saying something, he's saying something, then her balloon should be over here. Because otherwise you're going to get this awkward, like your eyes are going to go like this, like this, like this, like that. So I thought the balloon should be here, and then it could be connected like that. I could do that. But then I thought, well, maybe a more natural fit would be to put her over here as well. So I added a border and just broke up that single frame, and I put her here again. you know, something like that. And then she just finishes up the page here with the last balloon. So it's a little happy accident. I like drawing a big background, and then like this is something that has been happening a lot on the pages. So you'll see more of that. Other things, so I took about, let's see, I think about an hour and a half just, you know, making my way through this while watching a little, watching Samurai Ox's latest half-an-hour video to kind of fill us in on the blanks and all the things he's been up to lately, which is awesome. You should totally see that video. I'll be sure to put a link down below because issue 8 of I Never Forgot is definitely on its way. So one thing I'd like to add to this one is, so I have these different kinds of layers where I add the color, like one is an overlay, but the overlay doesn't really go dark. So I kind of lightly paint in where I'd like dark to go and then where I'd like light to go. And then on another layer, which is just dropped in opacity, I just paint over, you know? So that layer is the layer where I kind of go like, okay, where are the really thick shadows? Because in the beginning, I always feel like I want to hold back because I've just drawn all this stuff. So I don't want the art to be hidden, to just paint over it because, you know, I'm precious. Like I don't, and here I'm like, no, just paint over it. And then here it's like, no, just paint over it. And then this was actually all white. And I'm like, you know, since this is in the morning and since they are inside, that doesn't mean I can't have a sunrise scenario where these pages are going to be darker than the next pages because, you know, the day is progressing, even though they're cooped up inside. So I can still get that passage of time in that sense by having dark borders here. That kind of puts to rest a thought I've been having about borders like that because, like, you know, in the 90s, people were going really crazy with graphic design and coming up with all sorts of cool borders. And I was listening into Ryan Stegman's interview on the Off Panel podcast, which is all about comics. He did a ton of Marvel stuff, a lot of Spider-Man stuff, and he had some really fun border designs because I checked out his art. It was really cool. But like for myself, like coming up with like going crazy with borders and designs, I always feel like, well, there should be a reason. Like you can't just do it because it's cool. And so here I feel justified in like messing around with dark borders. I think this is already starting to look pretty neat. I hope you guys like it. Be sure to check out Ox's video. Samurai Ox has been very supportive of Phosphor for a long time, and I love what he's been doing with I Never Forgot, his own 13-issue comic book series, as it's always been a very big inspiration, along with Kevin Cross, how people like himself are just, you know, they just go out there and just make this thing happen, and they make it seem so easy. And it's been very infectious watching them. A couple of years I've been following them already. And it's, as always, to this very day, is pushing me ever onwards to make this comic book happen. That's it from me on day 2. Another little bit of news is, if you remember 2 days ago, walking along the beach, it was beautiful weather. I was having a really good time thinking about how lucky I am to live on the Mediterranean. And today, it snowed. Crazy weather, huh? It snowed. It actually snowed. And not just a little bit, like all afternoon. It didn't stay because it's too warm here. But the fact that it actually snowed is crazy enough as it is. So yeah. You guys, good luck on your projects. I'll be seeing you tomorrow.